Welcome back to our third episode. So last time we started with what we learned in our previous episode, right? Because we're trying to progress.
We are.
So now should we reflect on what we learned from the last one?
That lighting experiment we did was not good.
We set up the cove lighting and there was...
and it didn't work.
It did not work.
No. We had this color temperature. We had shop lights that were, I don't know what they were, but they were not good.
Surprising to me because it seemed bright enough.
I mean, this is a sad example. I would not recommend this as a professional way to light a scene. We'll try another lighting experiment further down the road.
So we compromised on the rug.
You picked out a really fine rug. This is a nice rug. You did really good with this.
Initially, that wasn't the case, was it? Because I had started with I was trying to, mimic the dude's rug.
Yeah, the dude's rug.
Thought it would be a nice
tribute. I thought the shining rug would be.
You didn't get the shining rug? I didn't get quite the dude rug, but you wanted to go with round, and we got the same basic design as the dude's rug. You wanted to go even bigger, but the space is...
I think you did good on the rug.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think the round actually works.
There's a lot of material on The Shining online.
I don't think it's a documentary, but you have me watch kind of a deep dive.
Very deep dive, right?
A very deep dive called I Scream. The fella that did this, he goes deep.
Should we go back a little bit to your initial viewing of it?
My initial viewing was back in 1980 in the theaters. I was 9 years old, and my mother had taken me to see that movie with a friend of hers.
You didn't really want to see it. You didn't know what you're in for.
I didn't know what I was in for. So that was my first...
9 years old, wow.
Yeah, I was 9 years old. That was my first experience seeing the movie The Shining. I did not like it. I was very frightened by this movie at 9 years old. I sat the entire time like this in the theater chair, every once in a while looking back. And that was my first experience. However, fast forward many years later, and I love this movie.
I felt that way when I watched The Elephant Man. I had watched it like this. It was a fascinating thing to look at, but I was terrified watching it, and probably about the same age. And it took me much, much later to appreciate the direction. And that's another one we'll have to, when we get into David Lynch, we should talk about that movie. Because
well, that is another movie that my mother took me to see when it first released in the theater.
Is it meant to be a horror film, that one? I don't know.
I don't think it's a horror film. It's based on a true story.
Yeah. And then when you watch it as an adult, it's actually very sympathetic to the character.
How interesting is that? At least from my perspective, those are two movies that my mother took me to see when I was a kid, first released in the theater. We're going to the movies, right? With a friend of hers.
Interesting.
And how fascinating that as David Lynch is my favorite director, and so is Stanley Kubrick, one of my top favorite directors.
And while you were watching those, my parents were taking me to Disney cartoons.
Oh.
And I think what's funny about that really is where we ended up, because you were in live action film department at CalArts.
CalArts, and you were in the animation program.
But yeah, the Disney films had a big impact on me.
You were the first person I think I met at CalArts.
That's right.
There was a period of time after you left CalArts, I was there for an additional year.
Right.
And then
This is 1999, right?
Yeah, we then
That's before we had cell phones and were able to keep in touch, or even Facebook, when we ran into each other many years later.
Where did we run into each other, though? How coincidental was this?
Yeah, this is interesting. It was at a Hollywood Video. And they had video stores.
Right. We don't have those anymore for all you kids out there.
And by then we were both married, and I don't know if we had a kid already, but that would have been 2004, but I think we actually ran into each other prior to that. But that was a really happy accident, right?
That was.
And actually, when we were talking about The Shining or movies that inspired us that we thought of initially,
yeah,
it was more about what you felt when you saw it as a kid, and less about being critical of the filmmaking and being analytical about it. It was more about how it made you feel. That was the interesting thing about this conversation, is how you felt as a kid and how you were still drawn to it somehow. For me, The Shining, just my recollection as a kid was just those really shocking scenes. Like him coming through the door with the axe and the two twins and the blood in the hallway, all those, just the visual stamps of the movie, that's what I resonated with me.
When I'm sitting here, I see the sky. So I mentioned the sky last time,
Yeah.
but I just realized the camera doesn't see the sky. All it sees is that tree.
All right.
See, but I'm looking here, I can see the sky, the mountains.
Which is a funny way of telling me to trim the tree, right? That's how he does these things.
That would be cool. Can you trim the tree?
Sure.
Because that way the audience can see the beautiful scenery beyond. All they see is just tree.
Well, that's why you have kids, so they can cut the tree for you.
Yes.
He's not old enough yet, so maybe it'll be a few months.
Well, I can help trim the tree if it helps expedite the process.
It do need to be trimmed, so okay.
When you trim it, you go lower than that?
I've never trimmed a tree because I'm afraid I'm going to kill it.
Oh, I don't think you'd kill a tree.
That's another thing to do, I guess.
Can you do that before episode?
No. That's going to be a grand finale.
Oh.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but remember the first episode we were talking about the chair problem?
Yeah.
Well, problem, I don't know, but
Yeah. And
your name was substantially larger than mine.
it looks good,
Let's see.
right?
We measured it, if you recall. So what I did,
They made your name bigger, didn't they?
got the Sheer and Meer thing.
Nice.
Check this out.
Oh.
Now watch.
Wait.
Look at this. Huh?
Oh. So you had my name made smaller?
Not smaller, equal. They're separate but equal.
Let's see here.
There you go. So that solves that problem.
Problem? There was no problem. Not sure what he's thinking.
That's better.
Thanks, buddy.
You like the present?
Yeah, thanks.
Now we're equal. So we talked about the dead horse and what we learned. Uh-oh, is that a problem?
Is yours loose like that?
I don't think so.
Let me see.
No.
No, yours is tight.
Uh-oh. It's not all the way down though.
Okay.
So this prop I bought was for my daughter to learn anatomy. Check this out. Look at the structure, is really good. But of course, holding it made me think of Pinocchio for some reason.
Pinocchio.
So what if he's a Bonocchio character?
Bonocchio.
He's Bonocchio. So
Pinocchio.
and he wants to be a real boy. But he can't because he's got bones and no flesh. Man. Whew. Great.
Excuse me.
This is going to give the wrong impression.